Oh,
All
now.
right, everybody. Welcome to the long-awaited first delayed episode of the Blow Yellow Line podcast. Sorry about like the 3 or 4 day delay. We obviously had on Monday the race was delayed, so we had to postpone it for that. And then Tuesday, when we were gonna do it, YouTube was having streaming issues. Yesterday was the Bruins game. Rest in peace, Joseph, by the way. And we're finally here today. So we got a lot to talk about. We have obviously the recap from last week, which we're going to go through that. And then we're going to talk about the events from this week, including the Iowa races for the truck and the Xfinity series. And we're going to be talking about the 24 hours of Le Mans. All right, boys, let's get started.
Well, we were going to talk about this on Monday, but a controversial Canadian Grand Prix finish has the racing world by storm. An angry thunderstorm, that is. And including me, myself, we'll talk about that in a moment. The IndyCar race at Texas, a 600-kilometer event, which included lots of audacious moves from rookies like Colton Herta and others, as well as the surgeons for Joseph Newgarden. And then Michigan, the Penske train continues over to NASCAR, where Joey Logano gets his third win at the big track. Let's start off with IndyCar. The race feels distant from us. Justin,
Yeah.
what is your take on the Texas 600?
That was a really good race. We had good side by side racing during the pack. I've noticed there's not many yellows compared to people wanted so many yellows. But, like, we've seen cars sometimes snap around, like, late in the race. Hinchcliffe snapped off. He hit the wall, brushed the wall off too, spun and crashed out late. Herta made a move at 1.3 and 4. Even Dixon said after the crash, he said I could have went high, but he didn't go high because it was 17 laps left. So he didn't want to lose the spot exactly, so that's why he blocked him to the apron.
I agree on that. I think Scott Dixon made a mistake pinning down low, but at the same time, Colton Herta made an amateur move trying to get around the veteran 5-time champion of the IndyCar series going into turn 3.
Yeah.
And I knew right from there it was not going to work, and they ended up crashing.
Yeah.
Also, during that same deal, James Hinchcliffe, I'm sorry, that was Alexander Rossi. Rossi made one of the best saves I've ever seen in open wheel history.
Yeah, that he was close to wrecking there.
I mean, he was pretty much sideways that whole time. It
Yeah.
was unbelievable. Also, I want to say James Hinchcliffe crashed out in the race pretty early, which I accidentally mentioned him. He finished 19th after starting 8th. I want to give a shout out to Marcus Ericsson, though. Finishing 7th, starting 14th, bringing the Schmidt-Peterson car into the top 10. And Sebastian Bourdais, who I thought was going to win the race, started 3rd and finished 8th on the lead lap, last car on the lead lap. What do you think about Sebastian Bourdais going into the next race at Road America, the track that could favor him?
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like he could get a good finish because he's run there before really good, but you never know. It's Road America, but we're not there yet. Depends how he practices, qualifies, and make sure no mistakes happens.
Here's the thing about Sebastian Bourdais. He's been very quiet this year. He hasn't had race-winning pace. And he's actually been getting outperformed by his rookie teammate Santino Ferrucci. Santino Ferrucci's higher in the points than him last. He's been running better. So Sebastian Bourdais, he doesn't have that. I don't want to say he doesn't have that drive, but he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the pace. Like he has top 10 pace, but he doesn't have that top 5 or winning pace. I think the only time he had that was at Barber.
Yeah, and I think that the oval aspect really put a lot of emphasis into this race and the championship that has been shooken up now that Newgarden had his 3rd win of the year, which places him 25 points ahead of Alexander Rossi and 48 ahead of Simon Pagenaud into the championship lead, while reigning champion Scott Dixon is in 4th and Takuma Sato rounds out in 5th. And I'm starting to like Sato twice as much this year than I have ever. What is making him so intriguing this year?
Uh, I don't know, but like he's been performing really well, like starting up front in races. Like he's so far this year he has a win. He had a win last year also for the same team, and they start on the pole too. And he's really putting this Rahal team really good compared to so far. Rahal's 8th in the standings, 211 points. He's literally 100 some. He's about 156 points behind Joseph Newgarden. I don't know what Rahal's doing this season because he's almost out of the top 10. He's only about 18 points ahead of Santino Ferrucci right now. Yes, I don't know about Graham Rahal because Rahal's not been performing compared to Sato at the team.
Here's what I think it is. We've seen a trend this. I don't know if anyone's noticed it, but we've seen a trend this year of drivers who seem to be getting hate because of flukes or lack of performance. We've seen them being able to just automatically flip a switch and step up the performance. Takuma Sato, he's had a lot of hate recently, especially with his Indianapolis 500. Everyone said it was a fluke. What does he do? This year, he comes out and he performs. He's top 5 of points, which a little gripe. I just find it funny how some people are already writing Scott Dixon out of the championship, but they're still keeping Takuma Sato in, even though Scott Dixon is ahead of him. And that's just a little nitpick. But we see this. Tyler Reddick in the Xfinity Series. They say his championship was a fluke. Boom. Joey Logano. They say his championship was a fluke. Boom. Both of them are leading the points.
Yeah.
So this is something that we're seeing this season where we're seeing drivers who are getting hate from lack of performance or from fluke victories or fluke performances. They're starting to step up the game, most likely to show up the haters and to prove that they can get the job done. I always thought that Takuma Sato was a solid driver. I mean, he's never really
Always been.
Yeah. So, and this year he's finally getting shown. Takuma Sato, he's starting to get into his prime, and he's in his early 40s.
42.
Exactly. He's 42, and he's driving better than he's ever been.
Like
We don't see drivers do it with this kind of age.
But like his teammate Graham Rahal, he's 24. His last win was 2 years ago in both races at Detroit. It's been 2 years since Rahal won a race. He's winless for 2 years. Rahal still hasn't won a race since 2017.
Well, some of these drivers probably still have a good handle of the Universal Aero Kit. I mean, look how long it took Simon Pagenaud just to get a handle of the Aero Kit. Last year, he was abysmal. And this year he's finally got
booming.
a hang of it. Yeah, now he's booming. I mean, he swept the month of May, so maybe Rahal just needs time because Rahal's not a bad driver. I mean, he's proven time and time again that he can be a good driver, not necessarily championship material, but he could consistently contend for wins. So he probably, I don't know why he doesn't have a handle maybe on this Universal Aero Kit. Hopefully he can pick it up. I like Graham Rahal. I think he's one of my favorite IndyCar drivers, so hopefully he can pick up the pace soon. Because to get outperformed by your teammate who's only been in the stable for not even 2 years at this point, when you've been in there basically your entire career, that's not a good look. I'm just going to say that.
But to be fair, I think Sato, who's right now 95 points behind the leader, and of course with the double points race and the Indy 500 championship standings has drastically changed over the last 4 or 5 races of the season. I think we're going to start to see a clear path on who is and who isn't a realistic factor of this IndyCar championship when we get to Road America in 2 weeks' time.
Here's what I'm seeing, and this is kind of similar in some ways to what happened last year. We have the drivers with the outright pace, we have the drivers with the consistency, and we have the drivers that can perform dominance. Alexander Rossi, he fits into the pace and the dominance category. We saw it at Long Beach, and we saw it and it probably would have happened in Detroit also, and at the Indianapolis 500. He has the pace, and when he's up front, he stays up front. He doesn't relinquish the lead. What he lacks is a little bit of consistency. Like, he needs to start getting more podium finishes. He's got the top 10, the top 5 pace. He needs to start getting more to those podium finishes, which he's starting to do. I mean, we saw it at Texas. So he's got the oval pace down. We know that for a fact. Joseph Newgarden. At first, he had the pace. He had the raw pace. He still has the pace, but it's more top 5 pace, if anything. That makes any sense. But he's consistently, I've said this the entire season, he's consistently dominant. He doesn't make any mistakes. I don't even think he has a DNF this season. He gets the job done to where he could keep that points lead. He's not going to go out and outright dominate a race. Like, he's not going to go out really and lead the most laps. He's not going to go out and just pull like a 20-second lead like Alexander Rossi can. But when the time is right, when it's crunch time, he gets the job done. He gets the best finish that he could possibly get. So we're seeing that. We're also seeing Takuma Sato. Takuma Sato also has the outright pace. He doesn't necessarily have the outright dominance, but he has the pace to get the job done. And other drivers that we're seeing, it's kind of hard to say Simon Pagenaud and Scott Dixon, because Scott Dixon, he's lacking a little bit of consistency. I mean, the only outright dominating performance, like the only 2 really good performances that I've seen out of Dixon this season were the IndyCar Grand Prix, but Simon Pagenaud he probably could have won that if it wasn't for Simon Pagenaud, and his strategy call at Detroit Race 2. Those are really the only 2 races where Scott Dixon has had like a major highlight. Every other race, he's kind of been quiet, and he's lacking a little bit of consistency. I mean, just think about this. At this point in the season, Scott Dixon had no DNFs. He's already 2 DNFs in. So I'm not going to say he's mathematically out of the championship, but he needs to start picking up that consistency again. And we saw this same inconsistency from Joseph Newgarden last year. Because think about it. Newgarden didn't gain the inconsistency until after his win at Road America, his final podium of the season. That's when he started becoming inconsistent, and that's automatically what led to his demise in the championship. We're starting to see this with Scott Dixon, but it's happening a lot earlier. So hopefully that they can get all these inconsistencies, all these issues out the way at Ganassi. Maybe it has to do with bringing in a rookie driver. Some people are going to say Ed Jones, but Ed Jones wasn't a rookie driver. He at least had experience under his belt. And Simon Pagenaud, it's kind of hard to say because Simon Pagenaud most days is like in the top 5, top 6. The only thing that's really keeping him up there is his Indianapolis 500 double points victory. I mean, that's just the facts. I mean, unless he starts doing what Will Power did last year, after he won the Indianapolis 500, he at least stayed in the top 3 fight. He's not really doing that. He's not really doing that. Like, you see him in like the 5th and 6th category, which let's talk about Will Power. The man has just fallen off a rock this season. I mean, he was good in St. Petersburg and he was good at Circuit of the Americas. After that, he's just fallen off a cliff.
Also,
what's going on with Will Power?
Circuit of the Americas, he actually had problems. That's how Herta got the lead on pit road. Something broke on Power's car in
I
the
believe
pits.
it was a turbocharge or something like that.
Yeah,
I'll give you
broke.
his stats right now. You start off the season with the usual 3rd at St. Petersburg like he does. He had 2 poles, St. Petersburg and Austin. In Austin, he finished 24th with a drive shaft failure.
Oh.
Birmingham starts 7th, finishes 11th. And 2 7th place finishes in Long Beach in the Indy GP and a 5th place in the Indy 500. So things are starting to come along a little more steady. And then, bam, first race at Belle Isle, 18th. And then a 3rd and a 9th. Still very unstable, knowing Will Power. And maybe this is kind of why I wonder the reason he only has 1 championship.
Here's one thing that you notice: Will Power's having a bad season. It's not where he's finishing. It's not even necessarily where he's running. If there's one thing that you know about Will Power, he's like the Ryan Newman of IndyCar. He's going to basically take every single pole. He's going to win all the poles. He's always going to put the fast. He's the rocket man of IndyCar. Ever since Circuit of the Americas, his last pole, he's been qualifying for his standards kind of garbage. I mean, think about it. How many times has he qualified outside the top 10 this season already? So that's what I'm noticing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. However, there's still a lot of time left in the season. He's only 6th in the points, 113 behind Joseph Newgarden, the Team Penske counterpart of his, is leading the championship right now. And you got to know something. I've realized this year, Penske is a strong team. All three of their cars are going to be threats week in and week out. Newgarden, Pagenaud, and Power. It's just going to be that kind of season where you got three drivers carrying the wings of a team. Usually, like when I'm talking about a team like Andretti Autosport, you usually think of Rossi carrying the wings, and sometimes Hunter Ray chips in there. Not as much as he used to. I don't see Hunter Ray in his prime anymore, but Rossi has what it takes. He's in his flow, and that's just his mojo. So you can't really change that about them. And of course, mediocre Marco Andretti. But let's just say being 14th in the points shows the divisiveness of the team. Now, if you look at something like Ray Hall Lanigan Racing, Takuma Sato being 5th in the points right now is just solidifying his territory in this championship hunt, which I think is great.
I want to talk about Andretti for a second because people listen. There's really no one I hate in IndyCar racing. I like all the drivers. Obviously, I like some more than others, but there's no one I really despise in IndyCar racing. But people dog shit on Marco Andretti all the time. What about Zach Veach? I know he's only in his second full-time season, but he hasn't improved since last season. Think about it. I don't even think he's led a lap this season. And last year, he only led 2 laps. I think Zach Veach is like 19th in the standings or something. And he's in the same equipment as Hunter Ray's, same equipment as Rossi, same equipment as Marco. So what's going on with Zach Veach, man?
Well, it's just inconsistency and poor finishes so far.
Not even inconsistency. He's just not
he
running.
has 2 top 10s, and they both came at the Belle Isle races in Detroit.
Yeah, not even inconsistency. He's just not running good. Like, what's going on with Zach Veach? Like, I don't hate Zach Veach, but the performance is just not there. It's like half of Andretti. It's early like this. Andretti has 4 cars. Only team to have 4 cars. 2 of them are going to be contenders, and then the other 2 are just completely irrelevant. You even forget that they're Andretti cars until you see, oh, hey, they share similar numbers.
I'm looking at in IndyCar. Veach has 28 starts, 0 wins, no podiums, no poles, 2 laps led. But in Indy Lights, in 44 starts, 6 wins, 18 podiums, 6 poles, 293 laps led. His best finish in the championship was 3rd in 2014. He's good in Indy Lights.
Okay, he's good in Indy Lights, but like he's
sometimes racing in Indy Lights doesn't translate over your success.
Yeah, he's not doing good. Yeah, he's not doing good at the big leagues. I mean, you want to use an example, go back to NASCAR. Let's take a look at Ricky Stenhouse or Austin Dillon. They perform well in the lower leagues. They come to the big leagues. They struggle to nothing.
Well, they actually at least get top 10s, not finish last.
Don't get me wrong, they do get top 10s, but at the same time, they're still far behind their competitors that are expected to go against them. Yeah, so I feel like that's where the missing piece is, and especially when we talk about Zach Veach. I want to see him improve, Justin. Aren't going to help.
Here's what I'm going to say about Zach Veach.
Not like NASCAR.
Oh yeah, of course IndyCar's not like NASCAR. No one's
you don't go see Joseph Newgarden going in an Indy Lights race. It's better than NASCAR with stupid leeches.
Okay, well then that gives more of a reason as to why Zach Veach isn't performing well. He doesn't have these champions and these veterans going to the lower series to compete against him, but he's in IndyCar for nearly 2 years now. He hasn't really done anything. Here's my thing on Zach Veach. If he doesn't at least start competing I'm not even going to say he needs to start winning. All right, he's only in his sophomore season. Like, I don't even want to know if I could say he's in a sophomore slump because he's literally performing the exact same way he did last season. Mm-hmm. There's no improvement. If he's the same, if he's the same or he doesn't improve by the end of 2020, I think Andretti's got to look for a new driver.
Yeah, and I think they should. And nothing against Veach. He's a great guy, great personality, one of the more friendly drivers in the paddock. However, things have to change. When we go to Road America, this was his finishes at Elkhart Lake and Iowa in the last year. A 22nd and 20th.
But wait.
A 7th at Toronto. And then things get okay. A 7th at Toronto, 10th at Mid-Ohio, 6th at Pocono, 5th Gateway. 19th at Portland, and 14th at Sonoma. So the inconsistency then starts to happen again.
Wait, about Veach. If Veach does not start performing, guess who I would put in the 26?
Who?
Colton Herta. I would put him
That's
into.
a great idea. You
Look-
know, Colton Herta is the eye that everyone's
Yeah.
hitting for.
But it's like the issues was not even his fault. Some of the races was just the car. Like
Yeah,
having-
Colton. No,
you
Colton
can-
Herta has only had one. Out of all the races, he's only had one race where his DNF out of his 4 or 5, he only had one where his DNF was actually a crash
Correct.
with his problem, and that was Texas. Every other one was because of the reliability is just non-existent at Harding Racing right now.
Yeah.
I see a change in them coming soon. I want to be honest about it and open-minded, which I think I should. There's a lot of reasons to be hopeful about Zach Veach. So, wrong driver, Colton Herta.
Just
I
say
would-
Zach Veach. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Here's what I could.
I need a few missing screws to be bolted back.
Here's what I could see. If Zach Veach doesn't improve, they take him out. They put Colton Herta in. Guess who they put in the 88? Pato Award.
You know what? That's right.
He was
Remember,
originally supposed to be in the second car.
the
obviously-
8. Yeah.
Yeah, he was supposed to be in the 8. That didn't work out. So
Yeah.
who knows? Colton Herta just goes to Andretti. They'll just put him. They might say, hey, we're going to put you back in the stable. And who knows? Maybe sponsorship may or may not be an issue because now he's a Red Bull Junior.
And he may end up driving for a team in F1. With the way
Oh.
things look. And could Red Bull invest Pato Award for
I
Andretti?
don't know.
This is a
Maybe.
good question because if you remember Fernando Alonso's Indy 500 debut in 2017, he had McLaren livery on an Andretti Honda.
Oh yeah, the 29.
Exactly. McLaren came this year, of course, with their new team, although it went unsuccessful. But still,
What?
you know,
To say the least.
But
I'm
don't
trying
know
to say is like, sorry to interrupt you, Justin, but what I want to finish my point here is that Red Bull could do. I hope if they put Pato Award in one of those cars, you know, that Andretti may have, you know, some sort of alliance with, that Red Bull can come in and help fund him with sponsorship and whatnot.
Oh my god! I just realized. You know when Fernando ran the 2017 Indy 500,
Yeah.
originally planned before Alonso made the announcement, it would have been just Stefan Wilson
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 25 because he ran 2016 and 2018 in the Indy 500 for Andretti.
Yeah. What happened is they basically said, hey, Stefan, are you willing to get rid of if you're willing to put away, like, you know, give up your seat for Fernando Alonso. And if he did that, he was guaranteed a ride in 2018. So he's like, all right.
And he almost won the race in 2018. Had not come for a late race pit stop.
But no, let the sponsor go with Pippa Man, the one who missed the show. I already talked about my opinions on that one, but
At least Pippa Man made it this year.
yeah, at least she made it.
Very surprising.
I was surprised.
hmm But that's why you don't look away in the Indy 500.
And
You
so
never know what can happen until the race.
like we
or
even
following-
everybody was shocked that Kyle Kaiser made the race in the 32 for Juncos Racing.
Yes, and for the guy he
Oh,
knocked out from the race was even more shocking.
All right, so are we done talking about the Texas race? So I'll give
Yeah.
you guys the finishing result, the top 10 results, and I'll give you guys the top 10 in the point standings. Let me just grab them really quick. All right, so where are they? Let me give you the top 10 for the Texas race. Joseph Newgarden, like we said, third win of the season. Alexander Rossi, his second runner-up of the season, including the Indianapolis 500. Then we got Graham Rahal with his first podium of the season in third. Santino Ferrucci, career best finish of fourth. Ryan Hunter-Reay with the top 5 after leading the most laps with 90 laps. Simon Pagenaud to a P6 finish. I picked him to win the race. He didn't really have race-winning pace. Marcus Ericsson, 7th place finish. Sebastian Bourdais coming home 8th. Will Power coming back from some kind of issue. He went even a lap down to finish 9th. I believe, no way, he was a lap down, but he came back to rally in the top 10. And along with Marco Andretti, who ran the back half of the field all race long to come back to finish inside the top 10. I'll give you guys some highlights. Takuma Sato overshot his stall while leading the race after leading the first 60 laps. Injured a crew member, went 3 laps down after a penalty, basically ended his shot at winning the race. Zach Veach spun off a turn 2, some point in the midpoint of the race. That ended his night, along with James Hinchcliffe. Obviously, Scott Dixon and Colton Herta, they collided going into turn 3, and that ended their nights. And there were 16 Fs in the race. The two mentioned Scott Dixon, Colton Herta, and as we mentioned, James Hinchcliffe, Zach Veach, and then Matthias Lace and Charlie Kimball.
Kimball. 23, yeah.
And let me give you guys the top 10 in the points. So Newgarden is the points leader. Rossi is 25 behind, as we mentioned. Pagenaud is in 3rd, 48 behind. Dixon is 4th, 89 behind. Sato is 95 behind in 5th. That rounds out your top 5. 6th place, just shy of the top 5, is Will Power with 113 points behind Newgarden. 7th is Ryan Hunter-Reay, 115 behind. Ray Hall is 156 behind in 8th. Santino Ferrucci, the highest rookie right now, is 174 behind. And rounding out the top 10 is Sebastian Bourdais, 177 points behind the points leader. And for those who are interested, Colton Herta, the winner of the Circuit of the Americas race, race 2 of the season, he's currently 16th in the standings. And that does it for your IndyCar top 10. Guys, guys got any more comments on IndyCar?
No, I'm ready to get into the part. I think we all know what we're about to talk about next.
Let's do it.
This is something many people were here just to listen to, and had to wait from Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. This is something that I didn't want to talk about for obvious reasons, but as a race fan, I have to.
Let's get
the Canadian Grand Prix of 2019.
Let me just do this for my buddy Will out there, NASCAR opinion. This is for you. F1 is not real racing. Now you can continue.
Before we get into that,
his words, not mine. I'm just saying that right now.
Well, drag racing just sucks, period. That's
okay.
West racing. Just
back
saying.
on track. Back on track.
All right.
There's a lot of talk about the Canadian Grand Prix, whether you like it or not. Many people do not, including myself, think that Sebastian Vettel did anything wrong on that move. I had to take many replays to look at this from as many angles as possible. I barely see anything wrong with him trekking through the grass. I do not think that he intentionally blocked Hamilton, although he showed some intention to defend the lead for obvious reasons. However, my strongest opinion on why there should not be a penalty for Sebastian Vettel is that no two cars another two cars that made contact in that exchange, in that moment, were unable to continue for their positions. They were each available to contend for first place. Hamilton would have had a shot to get to Vettel with that move was made, and afterwards. That is my defense. If you guys say it was dirty driving, which is by far not dirty, I think that Vettel made an innocent mistake that reminded me of how Hamilton did the same thing in Monaco that I don't know why they didn't penalize him. I'm not gonna go out there
Right.
saying the FIA favors him. That's not who I am. I'm telling you
Right.
right now.
But there are two different incidents. Monaco, Verstappen hit him, so that's Verstappen anyway. The second one was when Vettel got loose. He had 3 lanes to work with. He had 3 lanes to himself, but comes up in Hamilton's lane. Hamilton had the wall next to him, so Hamilton couldn't go anywhere. But even
I agree.
Like he had
Hamilton
3
had
lanes.
a lift.
He had 3 lanes for himself, but Vettel didn't use those 3 lanes. He came up to Hamilton.
The only thing on Vettel's mind is to keep that lead away from Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, but it's been a penalty since 1986. He
I
should
agree.
know that by now. He should know the rules.
But is
Don't
that
forget.
the first thing in your mind when you go off track?
For me, you have to remind the rules. It's in like you have to know the rules, or
And
you
that's
could get
a long-lasting
disqualified.
debate. That's
Here's
a long-lasting debate.
Here's
Armani.
my take. Here's my take on it. This is something that NCAL said. He'll probably say in his Planet F1 video whenever that comes out. By the letter of the law, Vettel should have been penalized. You can't deny that. It's in the rule book. If he did what the penalty, yes, he deserved the penalty by the letter of the law. The debate is the letter of the law itself. And that's why so many people criticize Formula One. If you so much as just tap a guy, like you so much as fart in a guy's car and you get a 5-second penalty. So that's the problem. That's why people like will and ask our opinion. That's why they say that F1 is real racing, because you can't really do anything. You can't touch each other with that. Yeah, sure, you could like barely touch tires or whatnot, but you can't really do anything. You can't really do anything without worrying about getting a penalty. And to go back to what Justin said, I mean, it's like he's in the grass. Like, yeah, he has lanes to work with, but he's in the grass. He's not like you can't really control your car that well in the grass.
That's a great point on the defense of Sebastian Vettel, which I'll tell you right there. Was what he had to do in that circumstance to avoid losing the race.
Wait.
Like what I'm arguing is not like I'm not arguing in the defense of Vettel shouldn't have gotten the I'm not saying like, oh, what Vettel did wasn't warranted as a penalty, because by the rules, by the law, yes, it was. So by that sense, the FIA, the steward, they did their job right. It's the law itself that's the issue, in my opinion.
I feel like the question, Armani, is where is the gray area? Where is that line that is either crossed or not? If Vettel, was out there intending to do this to harm Hamilton from even being in the race at all, like crashing him, of course not. But I would say to warrant a penalty by the stewards, you would think that if the wheels touched, which they didn't, that would have been the trigger for a penalty. I thought it was going to come down to that.
If the wheels,
luckily didn't.
I wouldn't. Then I don't think people, including myself, would be as divisive, I guess is the right word, about the penalty. Because like, okay, they touched when Vettel came out of the grass. It's, if they went like that, then yeah, give them a penalty. But it really happened. Hamilton just had to touch the brakes a little bit, and at the same time, Hamilton was still like within a second of him, even going into the chicane. And at the same time, it was like really no harm, no foul.
Like, I just realized about the incident the week before with Verstappen. He got the 5-second penalty in pit road. He could have got a 10-second penalty possibly if when he got into Hamilton and going to the chicane, he would have got a 10-second penalty possibly instead of 5.
Here's something I've been saying. I said this on Twitter after the Canadian Grand Prix, and this I still stand by this to this day. F1 sacrifices good racing for prestige. They'll sacrifice, like if a race is good, they have a good product, they'll sacrifice that product just so that they can stay on this pedestal.
Guys, I just sorry to interrupt you, but we have a question, one or a few Q&A questions from our viewers. This is Beast Mode 56. Welcome, by the way, and shout out to everyone from sports broadcasting camps, play-by-play sports broadcasting camps that are watching this. Huge shout out and thank you to all of you for being here. But Beast Mode 56, Jackson, I'm going to answer your question right here. What do you guys think about Sonoma and NASCAR next weekend?
The biggest
We'll answer this
highlight
real quick.
is they're adding the carousel back. I think it's gonna. I don't think the race is gonna be. I guarantee you they're gonna promote the race to being unpredictable. 'Cause that's one thing that's a tendency the NASCAR media tends to do. If there's a small little tweak, there's a small little change, they'll say, "Oh, we don't know what to expect at all." Period. They tried doing that for the Phoenix race, which actually really bothered me.
Well, the
So
Phoenix race was weird. You know what happened there?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Stupid bullshit.
I mean,
Denny Hamlin, screw you. For wrecking half the chase contenders in a wreck.
oh, I was talking about the Phoenix race in 2019.
Oh,
Not
that was the
Yeah, they basically tried saying that the Phoenix race was going to be. Oh, we're not going to know what the Phoenix race is at all with this new rules package. When everyone knew what it was going to be the same.
Well,
So they're going to promote it, but I'm backtracking. It's going to be very interesting to see how the lap time's going to be interesting to see how
It won't be the same
different-
anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to
longer
see how
track.
different it is from last year to this year.
Yeah, because it's
Maybe there'll be
longer
some
track.
drivers who can improve off of the carousel more than others. Maybe we
Yeah.
might see a race-winning move at the carousel. We don't know. It's something new. It's something exciting. So the carousel is going to be something very interesting to look at.
But this is also the return of that part of the track, which they haven't used since I believe was in 24 years, if I'm not mistaken.
I
But
think Mark Martin won the last race on the carousel, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
I'll have to look at it. And then they added the short shoot part of the track, which made faster lap times, which honestly I wasn't that upset by. I wouldn't have been mad if they didn't do this anyways. But most racing leagues use the full carousel part of all Sonoma tracks. And what I wanted to also mention is that I just want to get this out of the way. The rest of the Sonoma layout is still the same. They still go through the S's. They don't use the chicane. And they use the full hairpin at the end, unlike in IndyCar. So it's just the addition of the carousel. And I think when it comes to drivers, which we'll get into, of course, more in the meantime when we talk about NASCAR and this side of the podcast, is drivers like Kevin Harvick who will find an advantage by racing there, especially since, with the carousel and that he's from California. He's had experience, I'm sure, in the past, making some good guesses. I think Harvick will have the upper end. He's won here before. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so thanks for the question. So
No,
back to what I was saying about F1. They sacrifice, what I mean by they sacrifice good racing for prestige. Like I said, F1, it's been known, like they say, oh, it's the highest level of motorsports. It's the most popular form of motorsports in the world. So I feel like F1, they want to keep that integrity. They want to keep that prestige. So they're like, okay, we're going to condense it. We're going to condense everything to like make, I can't find the words to describe it, but when they do it, but when they make these rules like that, I mean, where they're so confined, they sacrifice the product on track. I mean, think about it. Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso last year, they said the Monaco Grand Prix, it was boring because he can't really do anything.
Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel, or either Sebastian Vettel or Lewis Hamilton said a while ago, like I think a couple weeks or a month ago, that they said that these cars are too easy to drive. They're sacrificing all this stuff. When the drivers are starting to complain, then that's an issue. We've seen rumors that Sebastian Vettel's thinking about leaving F1 because he doesn't like the direction that the sport is headed. I think F1 needs to take more time on the product itself, which with the new regulations in 2021, that's what they could be doing. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020. 2021 is like the big year for motorsports in general. We got that's the estimated release date for the Gen 7 car in NASCAR. The regulations in F1. I believe that's when the new engine regulations will be in place in IndyCar. And I think with the new engine manufacturer. So 2021 is the big year for motorsports. So if you're a motorsports fan, tune into 2021.
Well, that answers your question, Jackson, and of course the F1 analogy is perfect. I think there's a product that is placed out there, and without a doubt, it's the most popular racing sanction that's in the world. It's a worldwide sport. I compare F1 to like international sports. You know what I mean? It's worldwide. They visit one country a year, every race. You know what I mean? That's all they do. And to see the product maybe be sacrificed for better attention and money, that could be a letdown. And even teams have to be put on the pedestal for blame about this. When you think about, attention over the integrity with the team orders, I think we all know and talk about it. It kind of bugs us, the Ferrari number 2 driver.
Team
orders. It's always behind the Ferrari number 1 driver.
Ferrari, stupid idiots.
And you know what? The funny thing is, Mercedes did this in Russia. Ferrari did this in Shanghai. And in Monza, you saw what happened when Bottas was ordered to play some unreasonable defense on Raikkonen.
But then Verstappen wrecked him. Then Verstappen wrecked Bottas like a moron. And then Verstappen got penalized. That dumb moron that can't drive.
I think, to be honest, though, let me just go back to the point here. The product of drivers that have the attention should also earn where they belong. You know what I mean? But I don't want to devalue Lewis Hamilton. I don't want to devalue Sebastian Vettel. These are 2 of the greatest drivers we've ever seen in F1, doing some of the best things in the modern era. So there's no reason for that at all.
So are we done talking about F1? So we all gave you guys the results. I'll give you guys the F1 results. Just need to pull them up. I'm always late when it comes to these things. All right, so for the F1 results, Lewis Hamilton with the win. 3rd win in a row, dating back to, I believe, Spain. He won Spain, Monaco, and now he's won. Lewis Hamilton in F1 is basically like if you're driving a NASCAR Heat 3 or NASCAR Heat 2. You just win all the races, every single one. Sebastian Vettel with his 2nd runner-up finish in a row, dating back to Monaco. Then you got Charles Leclerc with his 2nd podium of the season. Valtteri Bottas finishes at 4th. Max Verstappen in P5. Daniel Ricciardo, best of the rest, in P6. Nico Hulkenberg with Renault, I guess you could say 1-2 for best of the rest. In 7th, Pierre Gasly, another disappointing result for the Red Bull driver. If he does pick up the pace, I guarantee he'll be gone before the season even ends. Lance Stroll in 9th, and Danny Kvyat rounds out your top 10. 2 Toro Rossos in the top 10. Nice.
Give them credit. They deserve the points they won. And I feel like they can carry this up going into the next race, which is a Paul Ricard in France. And I think that race is in 2 weeks' time. What do you expect to see when we go to France?
I don't know. Who won last year? I forgot who won last year.
I think it was Vettel.
Let me go check.
France, I don't know, this is the 2nd time that we're seeing this.
Paul Ricard.
This is the 2nd time we're seeing this track. So, I don't know. I think we're going to see, it's going to be, the thing with Formula 1 is it's basically the same every single weekend. I think
last year was Hamilton, Verstappen, and Raikkonen on your podium.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's something to take a look at, though. Aside from, the whole controversy in Formula 1, which Ferrari is having that pace that they had back in Bahrain. They gained that pace back. So let's see. So one thing to watch out for in France is if Ferrari can keep that pace going. It's like with Hendrick Motorsports. When they had that off weekend, after Talladega, they've had pace. So after Canada, Ferrari has the pace again. Let's see if they can keep it going. Or is it just gonna or are they just gonna have these one-off races where they have the pace? What do you guys think?
About like team pace.
Yeah, because really Mercedes has been the class of the field. Ferrari has been a step behind. Red Bull has been a step behind them too. So Ferrari seems to be matching Mercedes in pace again. Do you guys think that we'll see that continue into the French Grand Prix, or will Mercedes go back and just be like 5 seconds ahead of everyone else?
Oh,
You know what? With the momentum Ferrari had, even though they didn't considerably win the race in Montreal, I think they had definitely proved to us that those 67 laps led by Vettel were not a fluke. They meant something. They will find the top step of the podium, whether it's at, Paul Ricard Circuit in France or in Austria or maybe later on in Spa or Monza. They got some great Ferrari favorable tracks coming up to their advantage. So just keep an eye out for them. Take a look. They'll find the top step of the podium real soon.
But the problem is, like, remember what happened at China?
Yeah.
What happens if Leclerc's ahead of him and they let Sebastian by again? If they start doing that again for the rest of the season, that's the problem.
I feel like that's the only thing impeding on Leclerc, to be honest.
They keep letting Sebastian by, but I don't want that. Like, Leclerc's doing good.
And he's a young driver with aspiring talent. I feel like they need to let him breathe and stop being all over him on Ferrari. That is one thing that has bothered me about the Ferrari team. And especially when Raikkonen returned to Ferrari. And I'll be honest, like, when I tell you, he won a championship for them. He's the last champion for Ferrari, which was 2007. And to think about this, when Raikkonen returned to Ferrari in 2014, I'll tell you how his record went. And he only had one win of that time returning to Ferrari. While when he drove for Ferrari for 3 years in 2007 to 2009, he ranked first, third, and sixth in those 3 seasons. A championship with this first season for Ferrari. Third and sixth.
Here's the thing. Team orders are just as bad as the leeches going down to the lower series. They're going to hinder, like, someone's always going to get the back step of the foot. I wouldn't be so upset if Ferrari did it, if Leclerc just didn't have pace outright. If it was like Bottas last year, where he was clearly, where the team gave them like half of the year to, figure out who's going to be the top guy. And then they're like, okay, this is our championship contender. This guy's basically not doing that much. So we're obviously going to use him to help the A guy out. So I wouldn't be so, I don't like it, but it would make a little bit more sense. Ferrari, like, they're not even giving Leclerc a chance. It's like I said this last year, where before the season started, where they're going to prioritize Vettel. And I understood that. He's the established veteran. Leclerc, I thought they were going to be, okay, they might sacrifice Leclerc a little bit, but, they're going to let him develop. Leclerc has no time to develop because when he has his flashy moments, Ferrari just throws him under the bus. That's why Leclerc's P5 in the standings. A lot of us had him as a championship contender this season. But Ferrari keeps throwing him under the bus. And more times than not, it hinders the team as a whole.
Like, remember...
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, we had China while he was doing good. But Vettel had to pass him. Qualifying at Monaco. That Vettel got in, he got bumped out. He wrecked in qualifying at Azerbaijan. Like, all those finishes, even blowing up, having issues at Bahrain, like. And the team orders didn't help at China, like. Oh.
Here's a little conspiracy I came up with. What if they're purposely sabotaging Leclerc just to wait for Mick Schumacher to get into that Ferrari season F1.
Oh god.
You know what? I really don't want to be a conspiracy,
I don't want to see that. Oh,
But let
God.
me be real clear. I want to be clear. We all knew last year, Charles Leclerc, like just a few races in, he's the next Ferrari driver. And if they're trying to make another Michael out of Mick,
Oh.
I hope they realize it doesn't work that way.
No, like just because your name's Schumacher, you're not gonna be like Mick Schumacher. He's not.
Ever
Like-
heard of Marco Andretti? Ever
He's
seen
not.
his stats?
Yeah, it's not compared to Mario's stats. It's
Not at all.
different. Like you see the same thing. Like Mick Schumacher is not going to be the next Michael Schumacher. It's just the last name.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
But like, don't get me wrong though. If he is talented, then absolutely put him in. I want to see, I want to see a chance be there, but I don't want that to be at the expense of another driver. I feel like that's unfair.
Let me give you. Oh, by the way, I truly think that Mick Schumacher is going to make it into F1. He's going to replace Raikkonen, probably in 2021. In all honesty, let me give you the point standings. Lewis Hamilton with 162 points. Valtteri Bottas second with 133. So Mercedes 1-2, the theme all season. Sebastian Vettel P3, 100 points. Max Verstappen is P4 with 88 points. Charles Leclerc is 72 points in fifth. Pierre Gasly, a disappointing 36 points. I mean, it's beating a dead horse at this point. Pierre Gasly, he's been abysmal in Red Bull equipment. Carlos Sainz, P7, best of the rest, 18 points. Daniel Ricciardo, 8th place, 16 points. Kevin Magnussen, 14 points. And Sergio Perez and Kimi Räikkönen are both tied for 10th with 13 points.
Red Bull should have 2 teams.
All right, so I think we're done talking about F1. Anything else you guys want to say about it?
Well, my one last question is, I know it's kind of crazy, but do you think it's starting to come along and say that Mercedes could have a perfect season of wins? Could that actually be a possibility?
It is a possibility.
Yeah, it is. You've seen how
Well, sorry, Joseph. Go ahead. Not Joseph. Sorry, go ahead.
you've seen what they've been doing this season. You've seen what Bottas has been doing, performing really well. You've seen him that people thought, oh, it was going to be Hamilton doing him winning all, but at Australia, it was Bottas. Then the second race, Leclerc blew up, so had mechanical failures, and then Hamilton. Then it was basically Bottas and Hamilton. Hamilton won 2 in a row, then Bottas won Azerbaijan. Then at Spain was who won Spain? Hamilton.
Hamilton's won 3 in a row.
Yeah, and then they've been both Mercedes has speed.
Okay, so we're 7 races finish of the 21 race season. That is 1/3 of the season already knocked out by only Mercedes.
Yeah, 4 by Hamilton.
7
3.
and 3. That's 21.
Yeah.
Here's sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We have 4 wins, Hamilton, 3 wins, Bottas. They've been really having speed, and they didn't do anything let Hamilton be ahead and that thing so far. I hope it stays like that.
All right, so here's my take. If you asked me after Monaco, absolutely. Now, I'm not 100% sure because of the pace that Ferrari showed in Canada. They had pace and they kept the pace. If they could keep that pace going into France, even if they don't win the race, but if they're at least competing for the win, then I think that they'll eventually win races in the season. So now, if it happens, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm not going to count it 100%. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely worth agreeing upon. But Red Bull, and this is something funny, Red Bull needs a new driver besides Gasly. I just am getting those vibes. Pierre Gasly is not an ideal driver for this squad. I feel like Alexander Albin's name should be called
Well,
up pretty soon.
Well, what about like George Russell? Stuck at Williams after winning the F2 champion.
Now George Russell,
Should not-
I want to say about him. George Russell is a guy that and first of all, I want to say I like his personality. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but second of all, he's wasting time in Williams. I don't
But
see
what?
valuable Grand Prix experience when all you're doing is qualifying races in the back and starting them in the back.
He's always starting 19th. 19th. With Kubica 20th.
It's been a ritual this year, hasn't it?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know why they decided to put Kubica in the car. This injury
he's
is
been
clear.
qualifying last.
But
I-
listen, I think
could-
we all knew it was going to
20th.
happen.
I mean,
either way.
but you knew like his injury is clearly like his hand
Yeah.
injury is clearly hindering him.
Like, you're seeing where he's qualifying. He's just 20th. Never higher than 20th. in
But here's the thing,
qualifying.
though. Regardless, it wasn't a
Like-
bad move at all. If a team that weak with power would have a driver not in his prime anymore, like Robert Kubica driving for them, I don't see anything wrong with that. To be fair,
But my problem is, Nicholas Latifi was practicing Kubica's car.
hmm
What happens if he wins F2 championship? Where does he go?
okay. I just want to say something to make it real clear. Just because you win the championship in F2 or in any feeder series
Right.
or lower levels doesn't mean you get this automatic free ticket to go up the level. It
But
doesn't
look-
work like that.
But Leclerc won the F2 championship.
Charlotte
At
Leclerc
least
is
he
a
went to
different
Sauber.
story. Charlotte Leclerc is a different story. And you're right. He did go to Sauber, which is now Alfa Romeo,
But they're better than Williams.
by
I mean,
far. And Williams is just going down. Well, I mean,
Williams.
Sauber, Alfa Romeo, they're going up. And
And you see how slow Williams is. The last, somehow, I don't even know how Stroll got a podium in 2017 at Azerbaijan. That's still a mystery.
Well, 2017 Williams was actually fairly decent. They finished
Yeah,
five
they
in the
were.
constructor standings.
Yeah, but
Then again, they had Felipe Massa. Felipe Massa.
Felipe
I think
Massa is a seasoned driver, very
Yeah.
experienced, but
But then
he's no
2018,
longer there.
last year with Sergei
Sergei
Sorokin.
Sorokin.
Oh,
That's
I-
the
I
greatest
wanna be
driver.
hon-
That's the greatest driver in F1
think Lance
history. I
Stroll's
don't know
bad
what
enough?
you're talking about.
Well, Sorokin got 1 point in F1. That's all
That's
he
the
got.
only point that
1
matters.
point away from being pointless.
That's
Oh
what.
my
That's the only point that matters.
The 1 point. Oh my god. But at least that Sorokin was, but he was 3 points away for tying Brandon Hartley with 4 points. He was 3 points
Exactly.
away.
He was so close to time Brendan Hartley. Like,
And Brendan
Yeah.
Hartley wasn't even that good either.
Yeah, he was. Oh my god.
Speaking of Brendan Hartley, he's announced to drive for Toyota in the LMP1 program for 2019-2020, which
He's
I'm
gonna be-
excited for.
He's going to be driving the 8, replacing Alonso. He'll be taking over Alonso's place in the 8 Toyota.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually good when it comes to sports car racing. So
Yeah, he's good in sports cars.
Oh
but
yeah, he's
not in
way good at sports
F1.
car racing. He already has a Le Mans victory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
F1 is not good. He and F1 no.
He and F1 just do not go hand in hand.
Yeah,
Somehow,
but
like
he
Sam
can't,
Horner
yeah.
to NASCAR didn't.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he can't handle the godness of Sergei Sorokin.
I
No,
wonder
no,
what
no,
Sergei Sorokin's
no,
up to
no,
these
no,
days.
no. Sergei Sorokin is god tier, but the god of F1 himself, I've said it before, is our Lord and Savior, Pastor Mandinella.
Mandanello, it's Maldonado.
Yeah, Pastor Maldonado.
Mandanello
Respect
sounds like
the
like an
pastor.
item menu on a grocery list.
I just love
Oh
his
my
name's Pastor.
god. Oh my goodness.
All right, so I think we're done with F1.
Yep.
So let's move on. Let's move on to the NASCAR side of things.
Oh goodness.
You want to talk a little bit about the truck series side and just go debriefing there?
Yeah, let's talk
Yeah,
about
we have to do that.
let's talk about the actual good NASCAR race of the weekend.
Oh yeah, Texas was the prelim of the IndyCar series race, which happened
well,
the following day.
But at least At least IndyCar didn't have so many yellows compared to the truck race. We had
My
yellows.
goodness, I forgot how much of a crash this
Oh
was
my
because
God.
everybody's talking about Greg Biffle's win.
Yeah, we had the first wreck was early in the race with Gus Dean wrecking. Like we've seen trucks wreck off corners.
I forgot who didn't wreck.
We had Gilliland with
Greg
a flat tire. Ross Chastain did wreck Eater.
We had the big one on the backstretch involving Corey Roper, 14 of Trey Hutchins,
The
Harrison Burton, Spencer Boyd, Natalie Decker, and the 99 of Ben Rhodes.
Natalie Decker wrecking. What else is new?
well,
It was funny. It wasn't even her fault though.
yeah.
Again, it wasn't her fault.
But
at this point, when
What
you're
about
wrecking
Gus
that
Dean?
much, it's like you can't defend it.
Gus Dean, I don't even know how many races Gus Dean's actually finished this season in the 12. Probably not a lot.
The 12 isn't the best equipment in the world. Natalie Decker's an equipment that could clearly contend for top
Right.
5.
I mean, to be fair, her teammate Tyler Ingham, who spun on pit road, came back to finish third.
Somehow.
And what sucks is he's without a ride.
He's driving the 8 at least the
That's a
87.
downgrade, knowing how Nemco's been in recent weeks.
The problem
I'm afraid to say.
The problem is John Hunter Nemechek's not in the truck. If he's in the truck, he's good.
Remember the one time Ty Dillon drove for them? Mm-hmm.
Well, John Hunter should drive the 8 this weekend to get experience for the Xfinity race.
I would do the same thing too.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me go check about Gus Dean's finishes this season. Because it's been up and down for Gus Dean.
I'm not going to talk anymore about Natalie Decker. I've already said countless times how disappointing she's been. She's been abysmal. Abysmal is an understatement. I'm not even going to talk about it.
What?
But let's talk about
Spencer Boyd, but
yeah, well, one of them is actually.
You want to know something? Oh, it's getting even better for
5.
You think the problem might be solved by having a better driver, coming in.
5 races.
Of what's the team? Of
5 races.
DTR Crosby Racing.
5 races.
Oh, yeah, Justin's gonna like this one.
Guess who the new driver is to the team? It's Dylan Lupton.
Hey, think about it. If it wasn't for Dylan Lupton, and I know Danny's gonna like this, if it wasn't for Dylan Lupton, Jimmy Johnson wouldn't be a 7-time champion.
You're right.
That's true.
That is absolutely true. If it wasn't for that maniac caution, I don't think I'll forgive myself on that.
Yeah, that's true.
But to be fair,
listen.
Remember how Stephen A. Smith made this whole rant about the New York Knicks general executive, the very first move, signing Lamar Odom. Who was on track? Okay, hold on.
10.
Right? Just think about that. That's kind of what it's like with signing, Dylan Lupton.
Well, at least oh my goodness. Don't know how bad Gus Dean's season's already.
What?
He's only finished 5 races out of 9. He's wrecked in 4 races. He wrecked on lap 10 in the truck race. Lap 10, he was already out. That's not good. Crash, oil line, crash. He wrecked on lap 28 at the last Texas race. He blew an oil line at Martinsville on lap 61, and he wrecked at Daytona on lap 98.
That doesn't sound like credible experience to me.
Gus Dean.
I think that's less wrecks than Natalie Decker.
But Gus Dean has 50.
I would rather see Gus Dean drive for DJR Cross.
But I don't know. Gus Dean only won twice in ARCA.
I'm not saying that because he's a friend of mine on Facebook. I'm saying that because I see the potential in him.
But you seen his, I don't know. He has no top 10s in trucks.
Hold on. I think y'all need some light.
Well, Spencer Boyd actually has a top 10 in the truck somehow, in the 20 truck at Daytona. Well, everybody died at Daytona, basically.
Hold on. Hold on, we got a question for Beast Mode 56 again. Who do you think is gonna win the championship in all the main NASCAR series?
Oh goodness.
All right.
That's dead.
And action.
Trucks, Grant Enfinger, Xfinity, Tyler Reddick, Cup. I still stand by this to this day. Jimmy Johnson.
For me, oh god, mine's probably gonna be all wrong. For trucks, for me, Stuart Friesen in truck number 52. Xfinity, Tyler Reddick. And in the Cup Series, so hard to pick Cup. I feel like it's gonna be Kyle Busch in the 18. Like, he's been running good, so that's the only time I'm picking Kyle Busch for anything. The only time.
Wait, what race are we talking about?
No,
I'm
we're talking
saying
about our picks for the championship.
for
and
me, I'm
truck
saying
Xfinity
Kyle
Cup.
Busch for some
For the
reason.
Cup Championship. You know what? He's a great pick.
Like, because that's the only time oh my god. That's the
Because
only
Kyle
time
Busch
I'll
is a
pick up-
realistic contender.
Yeah, except the only 20 15 that
So, Joseph, who's your top three? Who's your championship picks for the top three series?
For trucks, I'm gonna have to go with Grant Enfinger. For Xfinity, I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick, and for Cup, Kyle Busch. I know it's gonna sound obvious, but you cannot look away from that 18 car.
All right,
Wait.
thanks for the. All right, so those are our picks. Thank you for the
Wait.
question, Beast Mode 50. Sorry.
Wait, I have to check Dylan Lupton's truck stats, see how bad they are. I think he
And
only
now
has-
we're on to the rant part of the podcast.
well, Dylan Lupton I think only has 2 truck starts, and he did actually wreck in both of them. But Gustine's already wrecked in 4 races just this season. Should I go talk to Gustine, say, keep the wheel straight, don't turn into the wall, or don't go on the apron? It's not an ARCA car.
No,
Wait,
Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell lacks consistency.
I
That's
feel
why I
like
don't
there's
pick
a puzzle piece missing
wait.
out of
wait.
Christopher Bell this year.
Lupton has 2 starts. He got 12th in the 02 truck and
Not bad.
19th in the 05. He never DNF'd. He's finished on the lead lap in both races. Gustine has finished a couple laps down in almost a lot of races. So he's better than Gus Dean by a little bit.
All right, Joseph. This is the part where you rant on why you don't like the choice on Dylan Lupton.
Dylan Lupton. When I think of Dylan Lupton, I think of mass destruction. Cars crash in a junkyard full of blue colored Fords from last year. And the last race, of course, he had Fatal as a sponsor. How fitting to have a sponsor like that before a team shuts down.
Well,
But to be metaphorically speaking, quoted by Stephen A. Smith, Dylan Lupton is that driver where you have to double question yourself, is he really supposed to be in a race car? Is there a reason why he should be in this position, especially for a team like DJR Crosby Racing, where they are struggling with Natalie Decker, and they just put their best driver, Tyler Ankrum, to the curb?
wait.
This is nerve-wracking, but I understand. Racing is a business, and sometimes business decisions don't depend on statistics on the racetrack, and it can be unfair at times. But I really believe that there are many other drivers that can be in a team like DGR Crosby Racing besides Dylan Lupton.
But
That's the end of my rant.
But my question is who? But does David have the money? Are they
That's
running out of
you're right.
money?
Do they need the money? And
Well, they probably have because
we don't
They-
work in their shops.
they've wasting money by trucks getting wrecked. A lot of races.
Put
we
me
see-
in the truck. I'll kick everyone's ass.
But yeah, but for me, if I was,
And I'm not joking when I say that. I will do something in that truck.
but the problem is, I would have put Chandler Smith, but he has his contract with KBM for 4 races. in the 51 and the 46. Like, if Chandler Smith was 18, I would put him in for DGR. Because you've seen how Chandler Smith's performing in ARCA. In that, like, if I was David Gillen, I would put him, if he was 18 years old, I would put him full time. Like, you've seen how he's performing on track.
I know.
Like, I would put him instead if he was the age, but he's 16. He could only run short tracks, plus he's only running 4 races for Kyle Busch Motorsports.
That's true.
That's the problem right there. But Haley Deegan, I don't know if I would put her. I don't know.
I mean, like I said, she's only 17, so she can't even run most of the big tracks.
She could only run the short tracks. She'll be 18 this July.
I would say
18.
Loudon, but that's not on the calendar anymore.
But she's turning 18 in July.
Oh, okay.
But it depends. What happens if there's a race conflict with
That's true.
her Canon West Series race?
And she's in the thick of a championship right now, so.
Yeah, she doesn't want to miss that.
All right, let me just say, okay, speaking of the I'm just going to do a little bit of dark humor. This is like the little dark humor section of the show. When Haley Deegan turns 18, all of the guys are going to be like, don't even worry about the cop.
Let's
Come on.
let's not lose our jobs.
But by the way, also about one of the races that JGL could have performed well was Tover. They were running top 20. Problem, Ty Majeski did this. Like a moron, I don't know why Majeski turned into him like he was not there.
But that is in the end Ty Majeski, so who knows?
But Ty Majeski should just run ARCA because he's better in ARCA.
And speaking of ARCA, we had a race at Michigan, and he almost won that one too.
Yeah, he was close again to win an ARCA race, almost 3 in a row. And I
guess the field had other plans.
Also even said, people say, can Corey Heim, driver of the 22 at the short tracks, can he keep up the pace as Chad Bryant Racing? Because he's a rookie driver racing at the short tracks. Because he's 16 years old. And he was racing at the short tracks.
Man, they really had these drivers in these cars at younger and younger ages. I think I've started to realize that. Is it supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
Another question.
The way I see it, as long as they get the job done. I don't matter what age.
Remember Chandler Smith's first start in 2018? He started on the pole. And he got a top 5 at the age of 15 years old.
I like his progress, though.
His season last year, in 9 starts, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s. He got top 10 in every race. This year, he has 1 win, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s in 4 starts. Perfect record already. You've seen how he's driving. I'm glad that Kyle Busch hired him to race some races because I think Kyle Busch knew that he has potential.
I swear to God, if he outruns Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland.
But what about Riley Herbst? Because he's in the 46.
Riley Herbst. I remember Riley Herbst, and we don't talk about Riley Herbst.
Well, if you're taking a break from the Le Mans 24 hours, do not miss the truck race. I mean, we're about to get into the Le Mans 24 hours after we talk about Xfinity at Iowa.
Yeah,
that's our main discussion.
Yeah, let's start wrapping. Yeah, let's try to rush through. Let's try to get a little bit quickly through NASCAR so we can talk about Le Mans.
Then Xfinity Iowa, we have the Xfinity race on Sunday, and we have the last year's winners. We had Bell win the summer race, and the last time we're here in June.
It's Allgaier won the first Iowa race, and Bell won the second.
Yep. Also about that track, we've seen people win there. We've seen Stenhouse be good there when he drove. We've had Hornish won there twice in the spring, 2014, 2016. And also about Iowa, there's no Cup drivers in the race. It's just all Xfinity lineups. And people thought Chastain was going to be in the race in Xfinity, but he's not.
Right,
Yes.
switch points.
Because we have Stephen Lay in the 4, the 01 of Ryan Repko, Garrett Smithley in the 0, and Tyler Matthews in the 15. That's the lineup for JD Motorsports. Zane Smith will be making another start.
Yeah, you're right. But before we proceed into the 24 Hours of Le Mans, we do have to talk about the Michigan race that happened on Monday afternoon.
Oh, good.
And wow, what an event that was. Joey Logano made a great performance, a statement-making race, leading 163 of the 203 laps complete. Yeah, 203 because of overtime rules.
And also...
And I think we have someone asleep, Armani, with very strong opinions against the
We're talking about. Sorry, that's my opinion on the Michigan race.
Well, for me, also about that race at Michigan.
Alexa, play a lullaby song.
No, the problem was Truex complained that Logano jumped the start. Logano's the leader, so Logano goes.
He did not jump the start at all.
No, he was the leader, and Truex was complaining on the radio the whole time, and NASCAR told him that he's the leader.
Well, two things. One, Logano has to restart in the restart zone, so I didn't see.
He prematurely left. I'm not going to lie,
but
he can't do it before. Number two, when doesn't Truex complain?
Oh, that's true.
That's true. He's been up the rise of the complaint.
Hey, man, the man just wants to win at his home track. I mean, come on, cut us some slack.
Also about Michigan, people are still blaming Chase Elliott. That Chase Elliott's only in the 9 car because of the name, because Chase Elliott barely clipped Alex Bowman's rear bumper, and then Bowman got 10th after.
Look who finished 10th.
He got 10th after
Not
having
Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott got 20th.
Whoa, okay.
But
so much for the trash talking fans that can't even like 2 drivers from the same team.
Alex Bowman, after with left rear damage, got 10th with left rear damage. And that's really good because his best Michigan finish before this was 19th. That's not good finishing 19th at Michigan in a Hendrick car. And also Nationwide's leaving Hendrick Motorsports now. That's really sad because that's the only paint scheme I like because the Exalta cars are too ugly. I just don't like
But to be on the realistic side of things, sponsorship, regardless of the paint scheme, that's a huge blow to the team. I really think they'll recover. However, this is a big loss, a gaping loss for the Hendrick squad and for Alex Bowman. You got to remember, the publicity with Bowman is not as equal. Whether you like it or not, it's not going to ever be as equal as it was with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Valvoline will probably step up and fill those races. That's what I see happening.
Because Valvoline is sponsoring Alex Bowman in a patriotic car at Daytona.
Nationwide's not on his side.
Well, they don't need Nationwide because Dale Jr.'s won without Nationwide. And Alex Bowman's been close to winning with other cars like Exalta. He's been close winning with the Exalta car.
I mean, money's money.
In the end, it is all about business. Whether, feelings matter in the deal or not.
Oh,
sometimes things like this happen, and I hope that it's a deal that might just be meant, might be meant to be at the end of all this.
Oh, no. Do you know what I just realized?
Yeah.
You know when Dale Jr. got the sponsorship in Nationwide at the end of 2014?
Does.
What happens if, remember when the 17 of Stenhouse had Nationwide? Are they going to go back to Stenhouse? If I see that, I'm not going to be happy.
They're not going to be in NASCAR. They're not going to sponsor a NASCAR.
Oh yeah, I forgot. They also mentioned they are leaving NASCAR entirely.
No, they're not leaving NASCAR. They're going to still be they're still going to play a part.
Like a race
NASCAR.
Sponsor.
Yeah, race sponsor.
Remember, they used to sponsor the number 2 series, replacing Busch, Anheuser-Busch, and then of course getting replaced by Comcast and Xfinity.
Yeah, they're still going to be an associate sponsor with Dale Jr. They're still going to play a part in NASCAR as a whole. That's what they said.
But I hope they don't go to Stenhouse because I don't want to see that.
I mean, Nos left Kyle Busch for Stenhouse.
Somehow. I don't know why.
But to be fair, I feel like as soon as Kyle Busch got Monster back, he kind of told Nos to kind of kick Nos to the curb.
Well,
I'm actually surprised that Nos And Kyle Busch didn't follow through on that deal.
Oh yeah,
I
bro.
feel-
I feel like Kyle Busch, I feel like Monster was like, "Hey, Kyle Busch, we want you to come back." And I feel like he called Nos and he said, "Yeah, yeah, about that. No." And then he just,
And then, like,
Yeah.
Monster also sponsors Kurt Busch in the one car.
Right. They've been together for a while at this point.
I feel like
Since
Kyle Busch. I
one-
feel like
12.
yeah. Here's what I think happened. I feel like Kyle Busch was like relying. I feel like if Monster would have went with Kurt Busch, then Kyle Busch was gonna get it, because family ties. But if Monster would have stayed with Stuart Hobbs, Kyle Busch would have still kept.
Remember,
Nos.
they used to be together on the same team in the Nationwide Series back in 2012. Kyle and Kurtz, but the whole season in the 54 car that Kyle owned with Monster Energy as a sponsor.
But Kurt won in that car at Richmond in 2012 over Denny
I wish-
Hamlin.
I wish Kyle had a chance to win in that car that year, but
But
it just
Kurt,
never came to fruition.
also, Kurt Busch started the sponsorship with Monster in 2012 when he drove for James Finch. Phoenix Racing had
That is
Monster.
true.
One of the decals on the car was. Before that, we had Robbie Gordon. Had
Mhm.
Monster in 2010 on the 7 car.
Right, Monster and Robbie Gordon. Robbie
Yeah.
Gordon actually still associated with the Speed Energy drink.
Yeah, he had the number 7 in 2011.
And I'm talking about an off-road rally racing to this day.
He also had it in 2012 when he drove the 7 Dodge in some NASCAR races too.
All right. Before we move on to Le Mans, just quickly give your picks out for the Iowa races and I guess Sonoma. It's rapid fire.
Oh.
All right,
me,
sorry, Darren. For Iowa, I'd say for the truck series, I've got to go with Brett Moffitt. He's going to go back to back. And for the Xfinity series, Justin Allgaier is going to go back to back on the spring Iowa races this year.
Variety.
Friday indeed. Justin, what are your picks?
For me, for the truck series, it's quite hard picking someone because there's competitive trucks left and right there. I feel like Stuart Friesen in the 52 truck.
We'll finally break through.
Yep, and in the Xfinity series, I feel like Justin Allgaier is going to finally get his first win of this season and try
I'm
to
with you on that. Absolutely.
My picks for Iowa trucks: Brandon Finger, Xfinity, Noah Gragson.
Wow.
He almost won in the truck series race last year, and he's
Yeah.
good at Richmond. Richmond and Iowa are fairly similar tracks.
Yep.
Actually, wait, no. I saved this pick. No, forget. No, I remember. Ryan Sieg.
Really? He got a second place finish in 2017.
No,
yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Well, sorry. I'm gonna.
I'm
Gregson will
saying
be my
stats
back.
out on the top of my head. I ain't
Ryan-
making this up.
Ryan Sieg will be my. Gregson will be my backup pick. I'm sorry, Gregson. You're cool. But Ryan Sieg, you're gonna get your first career win.
By the way, guys, real quick, sorry to interrupt, but Game 6 of the NBA Finals is about to get started right now on ABC. So let me just give you a rundown on the NBA so far. KD is out with an injury, and the Golden State Warriors are facing elimination. They have to win tonight, or it's all over, and Toronto will win their first ever NBA title in franchise history for the Raptors.
Wait a minute. This is a racing podcast. The hell you doing?
This is a big game. Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's get out of our
That's
Elmo
people
voices.
that hear about it.
What did I tell
you? That weekend. Come on, man. We
Okay,
just-
so who is everyone's picks for the NBA Finals before this game starts?
Toronto.
Toronto, because I want Warriors fans to shut up.
I'm going to be the counter argument right here and say that the Golden State Warriors are going to find their usual way through and win this game.
I don't know, Joseph. The last time you picked your team, it didn't go well.
Yeah, and I'm wearing the cap of them right now, but I'm a proud
Go
Bruins.
there.
Okay.
All
Now
right.
let's get back into the race and topic
Wow.
in the race that we've
All
all been waiting for. The 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 87th edition of this French classic, has already shown its signs of triumph and heartbreak in various ways. We got to talk about the qualifying sessions that have been run so far. Let's talk about the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm going to send this link in the chat for you guys,
Billy
and then you
Curry
can pick
Let's
up the qualifying results.
Bailey Curry should drive at Le Mans. Yeah, Bailey Curry should drive at Le Mans next year.
What planet are you on?
I don't know. He should drive for
You sound like a dwarf
SMP
planet.
racing.
You must be living on a dwarf
Yeah.
planet.
Chad Fincham in a Mercedes.
Oh, the Chad Finjum. Oh my god. Okay. Toyota Gazoo number 7. Then it's the number 8.
And look at the lap times. Let's talk about the lap times. The best lap time.
3:15.4. Then a 3:15.9. And then the 17.
And look
and
at
a-
the difference.
3:16. 4 tenths between first, second. Third place was 6 tenths. The number Rebellion's number 3 was 9 tenths, and then fifth place, the 11 SMP car was 1.1 seconds off.
Hey, there's Sergei Sorokin, the greatest F1 driver of all time. He's
my
going to be
God.
starting third.
Dragon Speed, the highest LMP2 was 9th place TDS Racing driver Loic Duval was
And here's
325.
one thing about the LMP2 class is that they're the only class that has tire options of teams that, by the way, teams they have to
Dunlop.
sign up. They either sign up with Dunlop or Michelin, and that's a decision made final long before the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Okay, the like we had at the 28th was the 50 of Erwin Creed. Then the fastest GTE Pro class, GTAM Pro class, car 95, Aston Martin Racing
Nicky Tim.
Yep, 3:48. So they were 32 seconds off the pole, but then we had the Ford of Harry Tignall, then Antonio Garcia's Chevy.
Look at the variety right here
Like
in the top 5. You have Aston Martin,
Ford, Chevy,
GT,
Porsche.
a Chevy Corvette, Porsche 911 R,
Then we had a
BMW M8 GTE.
Then we have the 68 car. That's a Ford Chip Ganassi USA.
I want to let
car.
you know there are 4 Ford GTs and 4 Porsches out there.
We have 2 Corvettes
Basically,
also.
a clash of 2 foursomes right now. This is going to be interesting.
We have also 2 Corvette Racings, the 63 and 64 cars. We have 2 of them.
2 BMWs.
The first GTAM car was 45th overall. Dempsey Proton's number 88.
And we're going to talk about them also, and it's not for the best of ways in a moment.
But their 88 car, it's weird that there's one of the GTAM Pros that was slower. The 89 of Pippo Durrani was about 2 tenths slower.
Sometimes, like I said, these cars are also like in the same kind of category as GTE cars, so it's not uncommon to see that on occasion.
85.
But usually the AM cars are a little bit slower.
The slowest car out there, because there was a car that withdrew. The slowest car out there was Clearwater Racing's number 61 Ferrari.
Remember, they withdrew from Sebring earlier in the year in the WEC.
Their lap time was a 3:54.799. They were 39 seconds off. They were the slowest car.
They got some work to do. But the car that withdrew
was the 99.
The 99 car for Patrick Dempsey's Proton Racing, which was going to be driven by Nick Janssen, Tracy Crone, and Patrick Long. A really good lineup, and it's a bummer not to see them race. They crashed in Mulsanne.
Wait, I'm still shocked that the 81 is still in the race because they crashed too. The 81.
Well, it depends on if they're able to repair the car or they have the resources to do so.
Right now, they're overall 44th. That's the 81. The 82, their team car, the other car, they're overall in 33rd. Yeah. Like,
I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to WEC or sports car racing, so if you don't hear me talk that much, that's why. And it's what I think. Toyota's gonna win. That's really all I know.
it's also a 24-hour race, so
Anything can happen.
like we seen remember when Toyota had 3 cars and they all blew up in 2017?
And Porsche brought 2 cars, and both of them almost
One of
didn't
them.
even make the finish.
One of them had
The
problems.
winner,
The other
the
one,
overall winner, spent over 10 plus minutes, almost 20 minutes in the garage.
and they
They won overall,
Like
which I found impressive.
right now, I guess it's not the hottest temperature there because it's over in Le Mans right now. It's about for me it's 5-hour difference, so it's about 3 in the morning in Le Mans. That's why it's not hot temperatures, because Le Mans is early morning for Le Mans. For us, it's night time basically.
But local time, I think it's 3 p.m. when the race starts. And for
Yeah.
us, by the way,
9
Eastern
a.m.
time,
Eastern.
9 a.m. Eastern time is when the race begins.
Well-
the clock starts there.
Well, at least for me, it's not bad. For me, it's 10.
right.
But people in guess
West
what time
Coast.
for Pacific time, for them it's 6 a.m. For them it's 6 a.m. for them.
Crap.
I'm glad I don't live in like California. I don't want to live in the West.
Dream of California.
Like it was
Dream of California.
it was the 17 the 7 was the fastest.
Still copyright us.
It was the Toyotas were the fastest with Jose Maria Lopez in the 7, then Sebastian Buemi during the 8. Third place was Sergei Sorokin in the 17.
greatest F1 driver.
Then Rebellion Racing had their number 3 car.
Remember,
in
Rebellion
fourth.
was under controversy last year at the start. when
Vitaly
Neil Yanni jumped into the dragon speeds of the turn 1 of the very first lap.
Vitaly Petrov in the 11.
Vitaly Petrov.
Then we had the number 1 of Bruno Senna for Rebellion. Then Dragons.
That's just the current driver from the last.
Yeah, these are
live
timing. Henrik Hedman, car number 10. Then we had TDS Racing was 9th overall, the highest LMP2 car. And then we had the other Dragon Speed car number 31 of Anthony Davidson. And then we had the Alpine Madman Singatec car 36.
Who do you think is going to be the best car in the LMP2 class?
I don't know.
I think United Autosport, G Drive Racing, and Dragon Speed will have equal chances in this type of deal.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have no knowledge when it comes to stuff like this. So, you know what? I'm looking at the gaps. I'm probably going to regret it. But just because I love the man, Jackie Chan Racing, what is this? The number 38. Boom.
Where is he at? I'm trying to find him. Jeez, I can't
Remember,
even
they
find
won
him.
in 2017, finished 2nd overall, got the LMP2 win. First victory for a team from China to win, and of course they carry the big red flag.
The 38 was 15th overall, and the 37 was 20th overall. With Ricky Taylor is one that drove the 37 that was recently in that car. Oh, guess who was 22nd overall? Graf.
Vincent Capaille.
Yep, car number 39. And then when the 95 car was a 10 faster than the 4 GT. Like, I'm just looking at these. Like, we see Team Project 1 that They're in
Well, how
car
about
guy.
that one lone Ford GT in the AM class?
Yeah, the
Keating
85
Motorsports.
number 85 with Philippe Fraga that recently drove that car.
Ben Keating is the owner of it.
They were 54th overall.
Remember, in the US they run a Mercedes GT3 program in
Like
their GTD class.
Keating has the drivers are Ben Keating, Jeroen Bleekenmolen, and Philippe Fraga.
I
They're the
think that's a
drivers.
decent lineup.
And Clearwater Racing, they were last. We had Louis Perez Combank, Matthew Griffin, and Matteo Cressoni. They were the slowest car. Kessel Racing in 60th.
They got a lot of work to do as well.
WeatherTech Racing 58th overall. We have McNeil Cooper, Cooper McNeil. I said his name backwards. Tony Villender and Robert Smith in car 62. Like the 62, I don't know. They're 58th. It's not the fastest. So I don't know about that. So I don't know about the 62. They have to find something before the race starts to get some speed out of the car because they're 58th overall. Don't have that much speed in that Ferrari that I expected.
But I want to also mention though, when it comes to a 24-hour race, there are so many phases to an event. You have at the start of a race, you have the stints. Now talk about the stints when the driver's going to change. When you go for a driver change, what is the most important thing to do in the pit stop?
One of the things is you don't want to mess up like you have to get into the car fast. You don't want to go too slow into the car because it costs you time. Like we've seen driver changes that are some drivers changes are fast, some are slower because depends there's things that are understandable during the race at remember the Rolex 24 with Alex Zanardi, but
they had to do extra stuff to the car just so that he could run it.
But remember how he broke? He had the handle that helped him that he was using. He was using a handle. He had a handle next to him when he was slowing down because he couldn't, he couldn't touch the pedals because what happened and he did that, and but the other circumstances is you have to not mess up.
And you want to stay composed. I feel like a driver, when you get all that stuff off and you put all your new stuff on, you gotta just remain calm, know the car is going to get ready when you're in. And when you finally get on the racetrack, when it's time for your stint, you're all about readjusting. And it's funny, I think when Jeff Gordon, I don't know if you remember in the 2017 Rolex 24, when he made his first stint, he had contact with, I think, was one of the GT cars, right?
It was James Hinchcliffe in the 70 car.
Was it a prototype?
Yep, number 70.
I gotta see it again, but in the first hairpin, he had contact. He was unaware of how the brakes ran differently, and it luckily didn't get worse. They actually went on to win that number 10 car.
And even James Hinchcliffe said after the wreck, he said that he kind of blocked too, and Jeff clipped him by accident because it was Hinchcliffe driving the 70 at the time, and he knew that Jeff never drove that car at Daytona, so he didn't have that much experience. And also, you want to make sure you're well rested to get into the car because you don't want to be really tired. Like we've seen drivers do other things. Like we've seen, for example, during the like during the Rolex 24, we had Rutledge Wood going to interview Jordan Taylor. Jordan Taylor was getting a massage while he was not driving. Like,
That was his way of being energized for
yeah,
getting back in the car.
yeah, because you don't want to be really tired, and yeah, you don't want to be tired. You want to be awake and make sure
You
you
want to be
can.
alert as possible.
Yeah,
Um,
because anything could happen in a 24-hour race. We could see a car crash in front of you,
The safety cars, I mean, I know they're kind of rare at a track like this because of the length.
but depends how
And I
bad.
want to mention, guys, the safety car mechanisms are different. You have 3 safety cars out there that are placed on different parts of the track. They can release a safety car in places that are not even where the start finish line is due to the length of Circuit de la Sarthe.
Yeah, it's 8 miles. It's 8 miles, 8.48 miles. It's the lap time.
And when you pit under a safety car, you have to wait for the next safety car group to catch you before you leave the pits,
Yep.
which is something very, very confusing, and it could create some drama too.
Also, with the corners, Le Mans is really one of the toughest tracks too. Like, you know how Le Mans, you have to know your braking points.
It's actually funny because when you think about it, the Circuit de la Sarthe is it's a arithmetic track.
Yeah,
The turns are like a rhythm.
and also
You know where Dunlop is. You know where Tetra Rouge is. You know how the chicanes work. They equally match. And the Mulsanne corner. Then you go to Indianapolis to Arnage. You kind of know the rhythm there too, and you got to know the car has to be happy with it. Sorry to interrupt you, Justin. I'm almost done finishing. And then by the time you get to the Porsche curves, that's where your speed gets tested. Those weavy corners through the Porsche chicanes and a lap.
About the cars, you also have to do good with the shifting, because some people could overshift or not shift properly, because some corners you have to go in different gears. Like some corners you have to be in like the lowest gear, or some corners you have to have the highest gear. Like you can never know what gear you have to be in, and the
Like
slower.
sometimes people will put it all the way down to first. It's rare, but still they do that in Arnage when they come out of the Indianapolis corners. That sharp right hander. But the funny thing is, usually you get a little wheel spin just before you go.
Yeah, I do see that. And then also you see the lap cars, the other classes that you have to manage through them too. So
exactly. I really think that's a factor.
Like we've seen cars like the LMP1s get stuck behind lap traffic. And we've seen other sorts of, like I've seen a race where in 2017 Bahrain, the number 1 Porsche was leading, and there was contact between the Gulf Racing and number 86.
Yes.
Like we've seen that happen, cars getting in the way of the others and causing incidents.
You know, to reiterate on this, Justin, I will have to admit that for a track like, Circuit de la Sarthe, there's a rhythm. It's one of those tracks where you can review and understand it well, but once you get in that race car, you're going to need to implement all that for a whole race, and hopefully the handling of the car will be an easy transition for the next driver that goes in it.
Yeah.
It's transition time. When a stint is over and a new stint begins, it's back to square one.
Yeah.
The car does not drive on its own.
No. Because like some drivers have different driving styles compared to others. Like you've seen how different drivers drive. Some drivers drive like more slowly through corners, some drive more aggressive.
Yeah. But I want to mention though, also to reiterate that you can. I was saying the overnight hours. That's the thing. Unlike the Daytona 24 hours, the Le Mans 24 hours has less time under pitch black darkness. Unlike Daytona, which spends more time under the lights than even in daylight and all.
Yeah.
And that's because of daylight savings time and the time change. When you go to Le Mans in France,
But
just that region in Europe really makes it so that the sun doesn't set until like really late at night.
But also in June, it's summer, so usually summer the sun
And it
goes
makes
down later.
You're
except,
right.
Except if you're in Daytona's January, the sun goes down early.
And also in Daytona, you have cooler temperatures.
Yeah, because it's January. We're in June.
Mhm.
It's hotter temps in June.
Right, exactly. And I feel like well, back into the night hours, regardless, when you drive in the night hours, that's the toughest part of the track. And if you're a prototype driver, especially someone from the LMP1 class, what is your main goal to avoid those GT cars?
Like, you have to make sure that you don't catch them in a corner that's like not really like tight because there's some corners that are tighter than others. Some corners are really wide, some are not. But I would like to catch the traffic in a straightaway or a corner that I know that it's not that tight. Like the final couple of corners are not the widest corners, so sometimes it's tough going too wide. So I feel like the straightaways and the less tight corners, it will be easier to pass the other class cars.
I would also like to point out though, when Le Mans is mentioned, there's always that feel of prestige. Prestige is everything. To win at Le Mans is one of the hardest things you can do as a driver and for a team. It shows accomplishment, passion, and the love of racing all in one day. This is more than just a 24-hour race. This is everything. And that is on every driver's mind. Every team's mind is on this one race. Endurance racing doesn't really care much for a points standing season. You know what I mean? I know the FIA try to make a lot out of the WEC, but at the same time, most teams focus their programs over specific races, and Le Mans is always one of them. And when they get to Le Mans, that's the one thing on their goal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are on the championship or what turns out in the super season, and luckily the point standings is set so that they're not going to really interfere with the actual race since it is the finale of the WEC super season for 2018-2019. But like I'm saying, everything on that note is going to be put aside for this race.
Yeah.
And I really cannot stress it enough how much it means to win this event. And, they're making a movie out of the 1966 Le Mans 24 Hours, Ford versus Ferrari, Le Mans 66, starring Matt Damon. And, you get to see this triumph in action all over again.
Yeah.
When Ford finally struck down Enzo Ferrari. It was Carroll Shelby made the program, and who's playing him? Matt Damon. And Christian Bale is going to be Ken Miles, who of course tragically was killed in Riverside Raceway 1966, just months after that Le Mans race. And I just can't wait. Like I think.
Hold on. Before you guys continue, there's a question from US. You guys like JoJo Bizarre Adventure?
What?
What is that?
I don't. What?
I have no idea who that is.
Someone look it up.
I'm checking right now.
JoJo must be me.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
What the hell is that?
Because I am a bizarre adventure. Once you get to know me, that's just who I am.
Oh, I see it. It's a meme. No, wait. Let me check. I'm
What? Are you
checking.
talking about?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a TV show.
Oh,
Hold
I
on.
thought he was referring to me.
There's episodes 20.
Joseph.
Okay then.
God damn.
Joseph. I've seen people call you Joe. I've seen people call you Josie, but not JoJo.
I've been called JoJo before. That's just usually girls do that.
I've seen your kick name is that.
It's an anime, so I probably wouldn't like it.
I don't like it. I mean, it's
What?
okay.
Oh, about
Welcome to the Blow Yellow Line podcast. It's a racing podcast on World Racing Media Racing Channel. Let's get to the anime.
about Lamar, like I want about Lamar, like we've seen how the track is a lot of rhythm, and also like we've seen like Lamar how racing is sometimes racing is like the lap traffic. Sometimes when you catch him at an awkward corner, that's where it gets bad. Sometimes that's like when you catch a lap car at the wrong place, wrong time. Something could happen. Like
Exactly.
if you've seen the end of the track before completing your lap, you see the little chicanes are not you can't be
The
like
chicane.
2 wide, 3 wide in there
Also,
because
the last two chicanes are the toughest places to pass on the track.
oh, they are.
But
The chicane. Whoever understands that reference, just yes.
I wish I knew the reference.
Well,
I
you know chicane, how it's written in English. Do you know what it means in French? Like the same written version.
Go ahead. Let's see.
It means somewhat. It means like you're fighting.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, a chicane is something that you have to work around.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
What? Now is he gonna get? I thought he was gonna get a dictionary.
Chicane.
I thought he was getting a dictionary for some reason.
I have a big fat red dictionary somewhere in my house.
Oh, me acting like an idiot. What else is new?
Hey, that's
Why
gonna
I've
be
been
us. That's
single
gonna be
since I
us
was
on
On-
That's
on-
gonna be us during the 24 hours of Le Mans.
But
Because Justin and I are
remember-
going to be on Skype having a
That-
solo
yeah,
party.
Yeah, you know it's gonna be that. You know
I
it's gonna be me just doing that for 24 hours.
I hope I
Yeah,
don't.
that's pretty much how we make it through the night.
I hope I don't fall asleep like during the Rolex.
Don't worry, I'll be
24.
doing the dishes like I did last year.
Remember when I remember I fell asleep for 1 hour during this year's Rolex 24. I fell asleep for an hour and I was snoring on Skype. I was snoring.
I'm glad I
Don't
wasn't
worry,
in,
it's
I'm
become a
kind of
norm.
wasn't there when that happened.
Well, it happened. Hey, Hunter's done it twice already now.
I've done it.
Yep, you've done it too.
All right, boys. Here's how we're gonna do to make sure Joseph stays awake. If you feel like he's about to fall asleep, just blast Gloria.
Oh God, I already know the Blues won the Stanley Cup.
Hey, also about that. Also, I remember once Daniel Ford fell asleep during the middle of the afternoon on Skype too.
Well, he works at Lowe's in the morning. To
That's
be
true.
fair,
Yeah, but
he gets up at 4 in the morning to get his.
Come
Uber.
on, Joseph. You already know Mike is gonna he's not gonna let this go.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably
we know he's not. That's a given.
but about like I remember when I fell asleep during the before the Australia Grand Prix
Australian Grand Prix.
started, I literally fell asleep.
I didn't watch it because it's Australia. It's always boring.
Well,
It was a good race.
but somehow,
Yeah, Bob Tass led every lap 20-second lead. Great race.
well, it's better than having a once I on F1 2016 I'm somehow at Russia in the rain. I won by 53 seconds over my teammate Lewis Hamilton. by 53 seconds in
Yeah,
the
why you have
rain
to do
too.
Nico Rosberg like that?
Well, I decided to kick him out and be Hamilton's teammate. I've won every race this season, and I'm leading the points by a lot over Hamilton.
I don't have the game installed. I'm waiting for F1 2019. Doesn't that come out this month or next month?
This month, June 28th,
I
at the
need to
end
get
of
a
this
job
month.
quick.
Like about that game, I heard there's F2 also in the game too. Like about Le Mans, I've raced there on different video games like Forza 6 and 7. I've raced at that track in different cars. Like I've raced a Corvette. I've raced a Ford GT. I like how the track layout, but some corners I can't. I go way too slow, or I go way too fast, miss the corner, and I hit the barriers. That's the problem. Like the track is hard. I've raced. Like I've been trying to get some corners, but I always hit someone or they crash me because I brake too early or I brake too late. Yeah.
I've never raced Le Mans.
I'm glad I never raced Le Mans online on Forza 6 or 7 because I bet I would be the one getting wrecked in turn 1. Because you talk about Le Mans and people online are bad at racing sometimes.
Sometimes. You mean all the time.
They sometimes decide to go 3 wide, 4 wide. They sometimes dive the corners and wreck you.
You can't go one race or one lobby without one big one.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like Le Mans could be really interesting. I hope. Because I hope the other classes at least. I hope that LMP2's not that bad. I hope GT Daytona does not exist. The GTE AM class has competition and the GTE Pro class.
And will we see somehow a privateer LMP1 winning the 24 hours of Le Mans?
Possibly. It depends if Toyota has problems. It depends how it plays
Only
out.
if Toyota dies.
Or if they have problems, mechanical failures.
No. The only way is if Toyota dies. Like literally, like their cars just blow up or something.
Okay, 3 of their cars did that in 2017. They had 3 cars and they all had problems.
If you drove an LMP1 that year, your car was probably not going to make it to the end.
Yeah, that's true. That 2017, that was a lot of fans complained about Fox Sports' coverage.
Remember 2016? We all remember the heartbreak from Toyota.
I didn't even, for some reason.
They had it in the bag, and then guess what? The car shut off.
Oh,
with 5 minutes left in the race, right on the start finish line, just before beginning their last lap.
And who got the win?
Porsche.
Oh,
it was crazy. I could not believe it.
Like for me, I just realized.
But it was also dejecting.
For me, my first WEC race. For some reason, my first WEC race I've ever watched was all the way the Silverstone race 2017, the first race of the season. That's the first day I joined Skype also. But I remember I was watching it at my house, the 2017 race. 2018 I watched it too, but I fell asleep. And also I was getting mad because I couldn't find any good live streams for it last year. But I think this year there's a guy that streamed the whole 24 hours on Twitch. So that's it's better than YouTube, because the FIA
somehow I got to watch the qualifying on YouTube. I have no idea how that live stream didn't get taken down.
This is basically the FIA with looking at YouTube. They're like, oh, there's one. We're gonna copyright. They're basically like that.
They're basically Vladimir Putin about this.
But NASCAR, it happens sometimes. But there was a video that somebody got copyrighted. It was not even NASCAR. It was not even IndyCar that copyrighted. It was NBC Sports Group copyrighted one of Hunter's videos. Yeah, like I feel like Le Mans not gonna be the bad race because
there's a really good basketball game going on right now. Just to let you know, it's 26-20 Toronto. with 3:23 left in the first quarter.
Like, I feel like Le Mans, we're going to have some good racing, and I feel like it's going to be interesting.
And next week on Monday,
Oh.
we'll be reviewing Le Mans and talking about the 24 Hours of Nürburgring coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, a weekend right after Le Mans. So that's going to be one to watch for.
Oh, I just realized for
Hey,
the Le Mans 24,
Mhm.
if you guys have Motor Trend in the US or Velocity in Canada, it's on that. In case you guys have it. If you don't have it, go on Twitch and just type Le Mans 24 and you'll find it.
Yeah, Shane, we basically just stream until we're done. We don't have a specific time, so
Because the problem is like it costs a lot of money because it's only HD channel. It's not an SD channel for some reason. I don't know what's the logic there with Discovery because
I
they
feel
own,
like it's like one of the premium channels. They're trying to be like HBO or something.
like Velocity. It's owned by Discovery owns it, so it's basically Discovery's fault. They
Right.
own that channel.
someone said Velocity.
Motor Trend, I think, has a share in it now.
Yeah, like for US is Motors Trend the name, but like for me, when NBC Sports does now EMSA in Canada's Discovery Velocity, that I could only get 2 races I could watch of any. Like I could watch the Rolex 24 and the 6 hours of Sao Paulo next year in 2020 on Velocity. The only 2 races I get, but at least I watched it last year. The Rolex 24 were that was boring. But I hope there's good weather at Le Mans and the race is good.
I think we're going to see a great race at Le Mans this weekend. You guys will be entertained.
Yeah.
All right, so is that all for Le Mans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's everything. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Well, enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Enjoy Le Mans.
Hold
Yeah.
on, I got a question for
See
me.
you at SBC tomorrow.
Hold on, I got a question for me. Before my friend Shane, are you into basketball? No. I'm only into it when I'm bored and there's nothing else to watch. All right.
But
Sorry. All right, so that's everything. So thank you everyone for tuning into the Below the Yellow Line podcast. You guys want to shout out your social medias before we stop broadcasting?
check out my Twitter at I don't even remember my Twitter name. I have to
YT
start.
YT NASCAR.
Yeah, and also, if you don't know, I have a YouTube channel, NASCAR 88, because I've been stuck at 103 subscribers. It's been almost 4 years on YouTube. I'm stuck at 103.
And once again, shout out to everyone from Sports Broadcasting Camps who came and watched this. And follow Play-by-Play Camps on Twitter. They post every day. And they are just great people. We're going to try to get Jeremy Treatment on here for one of the future episodes. As many of you know, he works for CSN Philly in the past, comes from Philadelphia, and even once worked with a young Kobe Bryant in his high school years.
Kobe.
Yep.
All right, so follow me on Instagram at velocity87_. Follow me on Twitter at 87velocity. Follow us on Twitter at WR Media Group. Obviously, subscribe to the World Racing Media channel. Like, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. So that's all we got for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking out for all the delays. We'll see you next week. Hopefully on schedule. Hopefully YouTube doesn't have any issues. Hopefully we don't have any delays. We sorted all the issues. So thank you so much for watching, folks, and we'll catch you next time.